The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Are you a songwriter? Are you looking to turn your songwriting passion into a full-time gig? Whether you are just at the start of your songwriting journey or a seasoned industry professional, this show is made for you. Welcome to the Songwriter Show, bringing together songwriting news, interviews, and community. Now, welcome your host, Sarantos.
Thank you for tuning in, and welcome back to the Songwriter Show. I'm your host, Sarantos. I'm a solo music artist who's been writing lyrics for as long as I can remember. Words are so important to me, and that's why I'm so thrilled to host this show. I believe that every song is a story. The Songwriter Show is proud to broadcast live on #1 ranked W4CY Radio with listeners in all 206 countries in the world and every state in the United States of America. The station is licensed with ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, and Sound Exchange, and has partnerships throughout the music industry, including iHeartRadio, with exposure to over 300 million listeners.
And now, welcome this week's special guest.
Welcome to the Songwriter Show, Vik-tor.
Hey, thanks for having me, Sarantos. Appreciate it. It's awesome.
It's wonderful to have you on the show. So I'm going to tell the audience a little bit about you here. So Washington, D.C. native Victor Estes is best known by his stage name, Vik-tor. He's gone from the boy next door to the boy on the dance floor with his over-the-top fashions, pop rock, R&B, and EDM influence. At the age of 9, Vik-tor self-taught himself how to play the piano and guitar. However, he wanted more than his typical classical playing of Mozart and Beethoven. So by the age of 15, he started writing and composing music of his own with various styles. What a fascinating story you have.
Thank you. Yes, it is. It's been a long journey, and it's the purpose of this album, Reaction.
So tell me a little bit about what was your first motivation to create music?
My first motivation stimulated from the mere fact that I was just pretty much growing up just in solitude. I was passionate in creating something. We went from visual arts to music, and then music just opened up a broad spectrum of ideas. I just feel as though that would benefit just.
Tell me a little bit about any famous musicians that have taught you.
Any famous musicians that have taught me or I'm influenced by?
Have you ever worked with anyone famous, or if not, have you ever been influenced by anyone?
I'd say influenced, yeah. I've been influenced by multiple 80 rock heads, such as Led Zeppelin, such as Depeche Mode, Blondie. Yeah, my inspiration comes from multiple sources when it comes to the music scene. I'm heavily influenced in 80s rock and 90s pop. So I got Susie and the Banshees, The Cure, Depeche Mode, as well as MJ, Prince. And then it stimulates from like NSYNC, and then it goes to Britney Spears. Like my music, the genre of music is pretty much categorized in the 80s pop scene, and as well as a combo from 80s rock and 90s pop. So that's pretty much the combo of my music and the influence that came by. Unfortunately, I was not taught by no one. I self-taught myself and have not had no chance for no future collaborations yet. Not yet.
I'll tell you what, you had me at 80s. You know, I'm an 80s child, and I love the 80s. So I'm hearing you talk about Blondie and Depeche Mode and Prince and all these bands. And I'm getting excited because I love the 80s. What was your favorite vibe from the 80s, whether it's an instrument or something that you just comes to the forefront when you think of 80s music? What comes to your mind?
I think of 80s music. I think of an era where pretty much everything that was withheld from the public, I feel as though it was introduced a lot more within the scene, like clothing-wise, dress-wise, fashion-wise, and as well as the music. A lot of things are outspoken and not pretty much candy-coated. When I think of 80s music, I think of things that's direct. I think of music that's direct and straight to the punch, either emotional or lyrically-wise.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Should I say instrumental-wise or lyrically-wise? 80s always.
Do you try to put something from the 80s in every one of your songs?
Yes. And you will hear that in every single one of the songs of the Reaction album.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about, do you write your own lyrics?
Yes, I write my own lyrics. I produce my own songs. Everything on this album is written and produced by me. Each song has at least 2-3 years beneath its belt. Some songs was written within a year. Other songs just kind of build up over time. So, everything's pretty much been written by me.
And what do you do first, Vik-tor? Do you do lyrics first or music first or a combination?
I love the songwriting method. When it comes to the songwriting method, it's always the lyrics first. Lyrics pretty much give me the musical notes that I need. Certain lyrics, certain words, certain feeling of the words just let me know what type of chord progressions I need for the particular song. I write the lyrics first, and I go to my piano, and I create the rest of the magic from there.
Okay, so the piano is your main instrument for making your melody and getting it started?
Yes.
Okay. I can respect that. I do the same thing. So tell me a little bit about when you write the lyrics, do you have the melodic rhythm in your mind? Are you developing the melody, or do you do that completely separate?
The melody is happening simultaneously when it comes to the songwriting. It's like, the melody when it comes to lyrics,
Sure.
You know how you want it to feel and sound. So it's pretty much just happening simultaneously.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I ask everybody this, and I'm going to ask you too, because in the music industry, I think we all know that there's a lot of scams out there. So I ask every artist on the show, what scam have you been taken? What scam do you want to warn others about, or which one really hit home that you really got taken advantage of that you want to warn us about?
Okay, so scams, they happen all the time, especially big companies love to take advantage of aspiring artists. So the one scam that I was a part of was, I wouldn't really say it's a scam, but it seemed really scamish. For the most part, I would just stay away from it. The Academia Music Awards, it's a Los Angeles-based entertainment company that pretty much help aid in entertainers in whatever field of arts that they have. I had to avoid them. They was asking for an amount of money that just was unreasonable for the amount of work that they was doing. I wasn't seeing no profit, not financially wise,
Sure.
but pretty much exposure wise, and just gaining aid and helping me with this with the music career. I had to stay away from them, as well as there's been a couple of music publishing deals in the UK. As of recently, I had to pretty much step my distance away. They pretty much told me that if we work with you, they will contact me and not the other way around. It was just really sketchy to me. So that's some things I just want to let every artist know and aspiring musician know, that sometimes every opportunity may not be the best opportunity. But at the same time, it's something that's embedded within every artist to try to take advantage of every opportunity. You know what I'm saying, Saranto? It's like it's embedded within us to try to take advantage of every opportunity, but sometimes every opportunity is not the best opportunity. And if you tend to make that wrong choice with an opportunity for your career, you may either make it or you may break it.
Yeah, I hear you. And I think as someone who's been in the industry only 5 years at this point, in the beginning, you would think, hey, that guy wants $20 to do this, or that guy wants $40 to do this. And to me, it's not just the big amounts, the 1,000, 2,000, but it's also all these little amounts that just add up, because people think, hey, I have $30. Yeah, if I can get played on that station, and that station has no listeners, and there's all sorts of stuff out there that we all have fallen for. And, I want to keep songwriters safe. So I definitely appreciate your helping us.
No problem. For the most part, there are companies that will ask for a little investment up front to help aid you in your career or whatnot. It's not always entirely bad, because sometimes you have to put up the investment if you want to see the works back. Sometimes, but in other cases where it's continuous and they refuse to give you what's due, such as a couple of music publishers I was working with in the UK, that's when things kind of get a little sketchy. They want you to work for a little, and they make it seem as though you're hard to work with because you have a mind. You know what I'm saying? You have a mind, and it's just some things you just have to step back from a distance and look at it and make the best decision for your career. And it's not always good to be oblivious to things, but sometimes it's best to try to be real lenient to some things, because you never know what the the outcome may be. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I gotcha. So what's the funniest thing going on in the UK right now that you want to share with us? Something funny that happened to you on the subway or going on in the news?
Something funny in the UK. Truthfully, honestly, I do not know. Honestly, I don't know. The UK, I love the UK. It's more of a pull to my music than the US, but for the most part, I have not been in the UK scene as of lately. Just been dealing with all the legal matters that's been happening with the music publishers. But that's about it. But I love the UK. I love the UK. I love the US. I love everywhere. Just certain people in certain cities and countries that just love to see an opportunity and take advantage of it. And we have to be strong enough as artists to know the difference. You get what I'm saying? Not only do we have to stay strong with the artistic aspects of our career, but at the same time, the business.
Absolutely. All right. I got a cool question for you. How would you describe the color yellow to somebody who's blind?
How to describe the color yellow to someone who's blind? Okay. I would just say, honestly, I do not know. I would probably have to go with emotion. I had to go with emotion because I know like a lot of people that's blind, when they have a sense of emotion, they probably feel it and see colors. They may not see it like on they may see it in the day-to-day life, suppose, but they may see it like in their mind's eye, should I say. So I would say probably like adrenaline rush or some type of emotion that pretty much builds some type of adrenaline to them, should I say. And this is a really hard question, Santos.
Yeah,
it's really hard.
I'm not trying to stump you. I'm just trying to be different. So where's the coolest place you've ever written a song?
The coolest place I've ever written a song? I honestly do not know if I ever been to a coolest place to written a song. I've written songs on buses and trains and certain arts places. The ideas hit you. So honestly, I do not know. It's not like I never been like, okay, I'm going to go out to this event and like write a song. It just hits me when it hits me. And sometimes I have to be secluded to really get the magic going, should I say.
Sure.
So I'd probably say my room. I mean, that's the only place I can say the coolest place I've written songs. I've written mountains and mountains of songs that I didn't think I was capable of. So my bedroom, in my room, by my keyboard.
Okay. What's the strangest compliment you've ever gotten about your lyrics?
Strangest compliment. Strangest compliment. Let's see. Well, with the third single of the Reaction album, Nothing Left to Say, I've been told that this song, thank you for writing the song. This song just make you want to drink and smoke and just not care what anybody else say because I know I'm living my truth and I can't hold nothing on my chest. So thank you for writing this song. And I'm just like, yeah, that's perfect. I love that you feel that way, but you know, it do gives that feeling of, you know, sometimes you have to just let things go. Sometimes you have to do what you need to do to cope. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day, so you have to take that time off to, like, no, just we human at the end of the day. So we like to utilize things, get our minds off of things, regardless if it's like having a glass of wine or probably a shadow too. You know what I'm saying? But
sure.
For the most part, yeah, that's like the strangest compliment I've gotten.
Okay. What have you ever written a song about a superhero?
About a superhero? No.
Okay. Who's your favorite superhero?
My favorite superhero is Superman, of course.
All right.
No one can ever be Superman.
You can't go wrong with Superman except if someone has kryptonite, right? Then he's toast.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like the only downfall when it comes to Superman, because he is still awesome and powerful, and there's always going to be that one little thing that, you know, that just kind of mess things up. But it don't take nothing for him to get like a shield or something to just, you know, get kryptonite out of here. You know, he won't feel the effects of kryptonite. It won't take much. I mean, maybe if Marvel and DC Comics collage, maybe Tony Stark can create a suit for Superman. I don't know.
That's right. Tell me about a song that reminds you of high school.
A song that reminds me of high school. Oh wow! So now I'm kind of like digging back to like my 80s days. So my 80s rock days. So I would probably say Ah, it's kind of difficult. Okay, so school days, I would probably say, do not judge me, okay?
I'm not going to judge you, man.
Do not judge me. Okay, so Susie and the Banshees, Forever. That is like one of my all-time favorite love songs. And it reminds me every time I think about it, taking me back to high school.
Yeah. Who took you to your first concert?
Myself.
Yourself. Okay. What was your first concert?
Yes. My first concert, honestly don't remember it, but it was awesome. Probably because I was a little drunk, but yeah.
Okay. So Vik-tor, now we're going to hear an excerpt of one of your songs. What's the title to this song, if you can tell us, please?
Reaction is the first single to the Reaction album. Reaction is pretty much speaking on the process of making it as a star or making it as an entertainer or a musician. Whatever that you're trying to do in life, it just letting you know that there's a reaction. Nothing ever happened overnight, and if it does, then you know that it happens every once in a while. But for the most part, it's best to just learn to live and enjoy the journey. And once you get to the destination, everything will fall into place. So that's what Reaction is pretty much about.
Okay, Vik-tor, where can listeners find out more about you and where can they purchase your music before we let you go and listen to your song?
Okay, they can find out everything about me at vik-tor.com, VIK- aka the hyphen TOR.com. So vik-tor.com, you should be able to find exclusive interviews. You should be able to find you should find pretty much everything on the website, and as well as soon enough, I'll be releasing the Reaction music video coming soon this October. So something to, tune in about.
Awesome. Can't wait. All right. Thank you so much, Vik-tor, for being on the show.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me, Sir. So this is an absolute pleasure, and I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to it again.
You're very welcome.
Stardust in your eyes. Can this be what everyone sees? What means to what's happening? But melancholy, temporary, steady on being. Can this be what everyone dreams? What means to what's happening? Is this a reaction? Chemical reaction? No one can recall a thing. Is this a reaction? No my perception. No one can recall my name. Is this a reaction? Is this a reaction? For one in a dream, it's like Hollywood action. When my only action was that I was mean, and now feeling much better. So lay much closer next to me. It's your action. It's your action that lets me see. We hit in the club with a little light. Nothing's enough. Through the city lights, the little rush. That was us. And that was us. 'Cause Victor's my need. Like a window, I do what I see. Like a champion, knocking it out. 'Cause no one or nothing touch my crown. My crown is an action. Is this action? Is this a reaction? Chemical reaction? No one can recall a thing. Is this a reaction? On my perception, no one can recall my name. Is this a reaction? Is this a reaction? One in a dream, it's like a chemical reaction. When my only action was that I was feeling now, feeling much better, so much better. So lay much closer next to me. It's your action. action that lets me see. Oh. Can't just sit down, can't lose my cool, live life, but the devil never see me cry. Will take the pain and fuck this night away, live life, but you can always see me try. Is there action? Yeah, is there action? But living a dream is like Hollywood action. My only action was that I was mean, and now feeling much better. To live much closer next to me. It's your action. It's your action that lets me see. Oh, sit down, can lift my cool. It's your action that makes me retake the pain and fuck this night away.
SongwriterShow.com, your destination for songwriting news, interviews, and community.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We actually have a second guest that I want to tell you about in a second.
And now, welcome this week's special guest.
Welcome to the Songwriter Show, Trevor.
Thank you.
So, Trevor McShane is a stage name of a brilliant Beverly Hills lawyer, Neville Johnson, who's been listed every year since 2008 as one of Hollywood Reporter's top 100 power lawyers. That's a really cool story, Trevor. You got to tell me a little bit about, I'm reading your bio here and it's just fascinating. Tell me a little bit about what got you going in this direction.
I always loved pop music and rock and roll since I was a child, and read every Rolling Stone that ever came out, and loved to go to shows. And I went to undergraduate at UC Berkeley. I was the music critic at the school paper, which was great fun and in those days. And I always wanted to be a lawyer. And when I was about 18, I figured I could probably merge my interest in music with law, and that's exactly what I did.
Wow, that's really fascinating. So tell me a little bit about when you look at any musician, dead or alive, who would you want to be in a room with?
Buddy Holly, Bob Dylan, and John Lennon.
Wow, those are all great storytellers. Do you write all your own lyrics?
I write, yes, virtually all of my own lyrics. Sometimes I have co-writers who come in and, generally speaking, will add or change something that I've done. But
Sure. Okay. And do you prefer doing music first, lyrics first? What's your process?
I don't really have a preference. It just turns out that I have thousands of pages of lyrics. And so what has been happening lately is I'll go over to one of my co-writers and say, I like this one, let's put some music to it, and then we'll do that together.
Okay. Do you ever hit up some of your clients? Like, did you ever have any famous clients that you worked on as a lawyer?
Well, I've done 2 duets with Mitch Ryder, who
Okay.
I love. I've written a couple songs with Jack Tempchin, who wrote Peaceful Easy Feeling and Slow Dancin'. Lloyd Price is a client, the legendary 50s rocker. We've written together. I've recorded. Well, I wrote a couple songs with Ronnie Blakely. And so those, and then Shim Moore is the lead singer formerly of the group called Sick Puppies, which was very, very successful and had, like platinum albums. And I wrote a recent song with him.
Sure. Wow, that's great. How did you achieve this career?
Well, I never had any intention of being a musician. I was discouraged as a child from learning an instrument. And when I was about 20, I picked up a guitar and learned a few chords and basically just played in my room for about 20 years. I never really played publicly. Then I wrote a few songs in law school, but it didn't come particularly easily. Then I had a client who had a guitar, and I was at her office, and I started playing it. She goes, "You want to play the coffee house I book?" And I go, "Okay." So I did, and then she said, "You have to do original material." So I started to write original material. I found that it came very, very easily. And then another client liked my music and took me into the studio with two of the Parliament Funkadelic, which is the greatest black group in history, other than maybe the Temptations. And
Sure.
when I did that session, I said to myself, this is really fun. I'd like to continue doing this. So in 2000, I put out my first album. I started recording about 93 or so, and in 2000, I put out my first album.
That's fascinating. There's something you said that really stuck with me. You said you were discouraged, and again, I don't know if you want to share that a little bit, but I know with me personally, people almost have this, what do you mean you're going to put out music? It's okay to be a doctor or lawyer, but if you talk about the arts, that you want to paint or sing or make music, sometimes they look at you like, well, that's not a real job. And is that kind of what happened to you too, or is it?
I was 9
different?
years old, and my friend Barney was taking piano lessons, and I thought this was cool. And I told my mom, I want to take piano lessons. She said, "No, why not?" And she said, "Well, musicians are losers." and then
Okay.
and then what happened was, later on, I put together a band and I played, and Mom and Dad came out and they loved it.
Yeah, they change your mind. Yeah, it's amazing to me, the bias, because it's a profession, and I think we as musicians sometimes don't value ourselves like we should. We do a lot of free shows. We give away our music for free to get exposure, but it's really sad for me to hear that they're not teaching things in schools anymore, and that musicians feel like that people don't think it's a real career. And I think it's kind of sad.
But it's not that way all the way. I mean, I have a young man who came into my office recently. He's about 17. He's been performing for 3 or 4 years. He is going to graduate from high school and go to the Berklee College of Music, and is writing good stuff, and was talking to me about how do I make it in this business. I finally said, "You know what? I'll write with you and a couple of my colleagues."
Yeah.
And we'll write with you, because who the heck knows? So there are parents who do encourage, but I know there are those who say, "No, you got to be a doctor or a lawyer."
Yeah. When was the most satisfied you've been in your life with your music?
I mean, it's a constant. It's constantly. I'm satisfied now, and I've been satisfied all along. I'm just thrilled that I can play with professional musicians who want to play with me. That's just tremendously gratifying overall. And, I did a gig 3 nights ago or so with my 12-piece band. And,
Wow.
the trumpeter backed the Stones on tour. The guitar player has written over 400 books on how to play guitar and ukulele and banjo. So this is the caliber of people I'm playing with. It's just totally exciting, thrilling.
That's insane. How do you have a 12-piece band? I had a hard time getting 4 or 5-piece band, and I played Toronto Music Festival a couple years ago, and a week and a half before the gig, the band that I hired was like, "Oh, we don't have visas, even though we told you," and they backed out. So I struggled trying to find someone the 10 days before. But how do you even? Is it your connections, or you're so respected?
Yeah.
How do you get a 12-piece band?
Some of these people I've known for 20 years, and they want to play with me. They like the music, and they like the camaraderie, and they're pros. And so, for example, the horn guys, they have charts, and we have rehearsals, and they learn their stuff, and we encourage each other to do our best.
That's awesome. That's so wonderful to hear you have that kind of support. How often do you try to gig? I saw on your website that you've done plenty of gigs, once a week, once a month. What's your routine?
I will have done probably 8 to 10 gigs this year.
Okay. And do you try to, when you write a new song and you have music and lyrics, do you try it out on the crowd to see if it's well received, to kind of decide what to release, or how do you work that?
Sometimes. I'm trying to get videos out there as well, and I've got a PR person who is getting my name out there, and I'm doing everything I can to get some attention for the first time ever, really.
Yeah. So what's your hidden superpower? that you want to tell our listeners about?
My hidden superpower.
Or spirit animal, if that makes it easier.
I would just say that I have a strong drive, a strong drive. In my business, I'm an entertainment attorney, and as a musician, I keep going, and I'm enthusiastic. I work hard, and I'm enthusiastic about what I'm doing.
Okay. What do you like to work toward in your free time? Do you kind of try to divide up between your legal practice or your music, or is it all music in your free time?
Well, I work 50 hours a week as an attorney, so I'm very busy, and I like to think I'm a good client, or I'm good for my clients. What do? I play music. I write, and I play music, and I read. I have fiction and nonfiction, and what a wild time we're living in our country right now. It's fascinating.
Yes, it is. What's your comfort food?
We have a chain of hamburger stands out here called In-N-Out, and the double cheeseburger, I'm sorry, tops anything anywhere.
All right. I'm in Chicago, so we just have pizza. We have some burgers, but nothing like that.
You got your dogs.
I've actually been to In-N-Out. You're right. They're wonderful. What's the record amount of time you've gone without a shower?
Probably 6 days when I was camping out in Big Sur.
Did you write any music up there in Big Sur?
At that time, I was not. I was, 21. It was long ago.
Okay. Where do you write most of your lyrics? Do you have to be alone? Do you have to be with your instrument? Or do you just do it anywhere?
Anywhere, all the time. If I take an airplane trip to New York, I will write a minimum of 6 poems probably on the way. If I am down at the courthouse and I have done my preparation for the argument and I got time to kill, I might jot something down there. If I wake up in the morning and a thought comes to my head, I'll do it. So anytime, anywhere.
Okay.
And it all changed. Everything. I went from paper to, the iPad and my iPhone about 3 or 4 years ago, and that really made it easy.
Yeah, I used to write on paper up until like 3-4 years ago, and I was like, how can you write on an iPhone? And I slowly transitioned to that, and now I write everything. It's just so much easier. I've gotten used to it, but it's amazing some of the apps where you can just, record a melody or record something and come back to it. It's really opened up a whole new world for all of us.
And GarageBand. I got to tip my hat to GarageBand. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so I should mention also I wrote a book of poetry that came out a couple of years ago that was well-reviewed called What Took You So Long, which is 167 love poems to my wife.
Just 167?
Yeah, it was 10 years worth.
Wow. Okay. Did she like it?
She loved it. Who wouldn't?
Yeah, that's awesome. I like to ask every guest about what scams do you want to warn people about or that you've fallen into, and given you're an entertainment attorney, you might have even more insight to share with our listeners. And then after that question, what's the best marketing investment you've ever made? If you can answer those two, I'd love to hear your answer.
Scams, I would say, in the music industry are songwriters and musicians who sign contracts that they don't really understand the realities of, and they end up with their copyrights being owned by people who are useless and or crooked. I've seen, for example, I can think of one huge hit song that everyone would know, and the writer doesn't get paid anything because he signed a stupid contract many years ago. I see this so frequently of writers who have signed away their lives, and so if you're going to be transferring an interest or mortgaging an interest, you gotta know what the heck you're talking about and get some independent advice, even if you have to pay a little money. And maybe some people will have mercy if you have no money and give guidance overall. So that's number one. What was your second question?
What's the best marketing investment advice you could give someone if they have $100 or $1,000? Where would you tell them to put it in today's industry?
Well, what I'm doing is Facebook, and I put up a few $100 for a couple of my videos, and I got 350,000 views around the world. So that has been quite, I think it's very effective, and social media is, I think, the best way to be going these days.
Okay. And do you try to track that to see what it does? In other words, do they sign up for your email list? Do they buy music? What do you try to do with
we're doing all that, and the ones that say they like it, they got on our email list to say, hey, I've got a new tune out, or whatever it may be. But yeah, we're gathering, that's what you do, you're gathering names.
Sure.
But
okay.
And that's the other thing, too. It blows me away. I got people around the world who write in, I like your stuff, in languages that I cannot speak, and I'm surprised that it gets that far.
Yeah, the internet is amazing what it's opened up for all of us, I think, where, you look at your Spotify or some of your trends and you're like, wait, people like me in Brazil, we never would have had this opportunity years ago, so it's fascinating. Yeah,
look at you doing a radio show around the world.
Yeah.
That anybody can dial in any time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, okay, so we're going to hear one of your songs right now. Can you tell me the title to this song?
It's Eloise.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about the song. What was your influence?
Just rock and roll, and I was with my two co-writers, and just whipped it together in about an hour and a half.
Okay. And tell me, Trevor, where can listeners find out more information about you and purchase your music?
Well, I'm available on iTunes. You can hear me on Apple Music. You can hear me on Spotify. You can go to trevormcshane.com to see my website. If you're really interested, you can look at me on Facebook as Trevor McShane. And also my day gig is Neville Johnson.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Trevor, for being on the show, and we're going to listen to your song right now.
So nice of you to have me here. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Have a great night, and thank you.
Boyfriend left her in the parking lot. Opportunity awaits, so I stopped. I could help. I thought she just wants to be loved. She just wants to be loved. She just wants to be loved by me. From a distance, I have watched her. I always saw her with that jerk and his Chevelle. He ditched her. It's time for me to get to work. She just wants to be loved. She just wants to be loved. She just wants to be loved by me. Eloise, sweet Eloise. She needed a shoulder, so I offered her mine. She gave me a smile, so I gave her a ride. She just wants to be loved. She just wants to be loved. She just wants to be loved by me. I love Eloise. I want to please.
Wow, I want to thank both of my guests tonight, very special guests. I want to thank Vik-tor and Trevor McShane. They're wonderful guests, and I really appreciate them sharing their music and releasing it on our show. I hope you enjoyed this first show, and please feel free to call in at any time and ask questions of the guests. If you want more information about the Songwriter Show, please feel free to check out my website, www.melogia.com. Of course, the website is called melogia.com because in Greek, that means with words. And since I'm all about the words in my music and all about words with this show, I thought there's not a more perfect website name for me. When you listen to the show, you can listen to it live on W4CY, or you can listen to it on iTunes or iHeartRadio. Feel free to join us here every night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm going to leave you with a surprise. Every week I release something new for my fans. Today, I released a brand new song for the month of October called Who Am I to Fight the Universe? And I'll see you again next week, right here on The Songwriter Show.
My mama was a hard-working girl. Said an image can create a new world. Being is part of breathing, and believing is always a part of dreaming. I've wasted so much of my life drowning. Used up so many of my days climbing. Spent most of my nights crying. So tired of always trying. Who am I to fight the universe? Who am I to curse the universe? The silly stars to beckon me. If God allows this mess to be, then maybe I should just accept my destiny. Fresh ink on the newspaper, yet I don't feel any safer. Home still smells the same, and I'm still stuck in a house of pain. So much pain. Mama said I was meant for something greater. So why am I denied my nature? My nature. How could she be so wrong? I don't feel like I belong. I don't belong. Who am I to fight the universe? Who am I to curse the universe? The silly stars to beckon me. If God allows this mess to be, then maybe I should just really in control.
Thank you for listening to The Songwriter Show. To keep the momentum going, head over to www.songwritershow.com and join our free music community of artists, songwriters, and producers. That's www.songwritershow.com.